There's something about the INFJ that unsettles people even before a word is spoken. It's not because they try to intimidate anyone. In fact, they usually want the opposite, to make others feel safe, understood, and seen. But the INFJ's presence carries a certain energy. It's quiet, focused, and deeply aware. People feel it instantly, and it can be hard to explain. The INFJ aura feels different because it's not shallow or scattered. It's concentrated. When they walk into a room, they don't try to take up space, yet somehow the energy shifts. Their eyes hold a kind of understanding that makes others feel like they've been noticed in ways they didn't expect. It's as if the INFJ can see what others hide, even when they don't mean to. That's what makes people uncomfortable. Most people live behind small emotional walls. They show certain sides of themselves and hide the rest. But the INFJ has an ability to see through those walls without effort. They sense emotion, tension, and truth as naturally as breathing. This makes others feel exposed, sometimes even judged, even when the INFJ hasn't said anything at all. The INFJ aura feels heavy not because it's dark, but because it's honest. It carries empathy, intuition, and silent observation all at once. It's like standing next to someone who knows how you feel before you do. Some find that comforting. Others find it terrifying. In this video, we'll look at 6 reasons why the INFJ aura has that effect on people, why it can make them nervous, defensive, or even afraid. It's not because the INFJ does anything wrong, but because their energy quietly demands truth in a world built on pretending. Reason number 1. Your quiet intensity acts like a mirror. The INFJ's energy is calm, but it's never empty. When they listen, they're fully present. They make eye contact that feels steady and sincere. They don't interrupt or rush to fill silence. That kind of attention is rare, and for many people, it's uncomfortable. Most are used to shallow listening, where words pass by without real understanding. But when an INFJ listens, it feels like being looked at through a mirror. That mirror effect is what makes people nervous. The INFJ's stillness reflects everything around them. When someone is hiding insecurity, guilt, or inner conflict, that reflection brings it to the surface. It's not that the INFJ exposes people on purpose. Their quiet presence simply makes others notice their own truth. Imagine sitting across from someone who doesn't judge, but also doesn't look away. That kind of gaze makes you see yourself more clearly. Many people aren't ready for that. They mistake that focus for pressure or judgment when it's really empathy mixed with awareness. This mirror quality is one reason INFJs are both loved and feared. They can make people feel deeply seen, but that same visibility can feel like exposure. When someone senses that you can read between the lines of their behavior, they start to feel naked emotionally. That's when defensiveness kicks in. The INFJ doesn't have to say anything intense for this to happen. Their silence alone can do it. A simple look, a pause, or a thoughtful reaction can make someone realize they've said too much or revealed something they didn't plan to. The INFJ aura naturally reflects truth, and truth often makes people uncomfortable. This is why so many people describe the INFJ as mysterious or intimidating, even when they're kind. It's not about words or expression, it's about energy. The INFJ doesn't project power, they project presence. And presence, when it's genuine, acts like a mirror that few people are ready to face. Reason number 2. Your perceptiveness uncovers what people hide. INFJs notice what others miss. They read tone, expression, timing, and emotional shifts so quickly that it can seem like they're reading minds. They can sense when someone's lying, hiding pain, or saying one thing while feeling another. It's not something they try to do, it just happens. Their intuition collects details and connects them instantly. For most people, being around that kind of perception feels invasive, even if it's not meant to be. When someone can sense your mood before you mention it, or understand your motives without explanation, it can be unsettling. The INFJ doesn't need proof or evidence. They simply know. That quiet knowing is what terrifies people the most. They'll say something that cuts right to the truth without realizing how direct it sounds. A friend might be pretending to be fine, and the INFJ says softly, "You seem tired of pretending." It's not meant to accuse, it's empathy. But that kind of statement can hit harder than any confrontation because it exposes what's hidden. This ability comes from the INFJ's deep empathy and intuition working together. They feel what others feel, but they also analyze those emotions through logic and insight. That combination allows them to understand people on levels most can't reach. To someone who lives behind emotional walls, that can feel threatening. People might even avoid eye contact with an INFJ when they sense this depth. They don't want to be read. They want to keep their secrets buried. But the INFJ doesn't expose them to harm. It's just that the truth becomes visible in their presence. They carry an energy that pulls honesty out of others, sometimes without a word. Because of this, many INFJs are misunderstood. They're accused of being too intense or too much, but what's really happening is that people aren't used to being seen clearly. The INFJ doesn't look at who you pretend to be, they see who you are. And that's both powerful and frightening. Reason number 3, your emotional depth feels overwhelming. INFJs feel emotion in layers. They experience joy, sadness, and empathy all at once, like multiple notes in a chord. Their emotions are quiet but strong, and the energy around them reflects that. People who are used to lighter, more casual emotional energy can feel uneasy around someone who carries that much feeling beneath the surface. The INFJ's emotional depth often shows in their eyes or their tone. They can say simple things that carry more meaning than the words suggest. Their empathy doesn't just come from understanding, it comes from feeling what others feel. When someone shares a story of pain, the INFJ doesn't just listen, they absorb it. That kind of emotional connection is rare, and for many people, it's too much. Some people sense that intensity right away. They describe it as heaviness or seriousness. They might even feel drained after spending time with an INFJ because they're not used to emotional presence that strong. The INFJ doesn't mean to project intensity, they simply exist with emotional awareness that radiates naturally. When others encounter that kind of depth, it challenges them to look at their own emotions. Many people avoid that. They prefer to keep things simple, to stay light. But the INFJ aura makes that impossible. Their quiet compassion invites openness, and that can make people feel vulnerable in ways they didn't expect. This is also why INFJs sometimes struggle socially. They carry a depth that not everyone knows how to meet. People who want surface connection might pull away because it feels like the INFJ is too deep, when in reality, they're just being genuine. Their emotional energy reveals the emptiness in superficial interactions, and that can be intimidating. The emotional depth of the INFJ is not darkness, it's honesty. But for those who aren't ready to feel that deeply, honesty feels like weight. They confuse sincerity for sadness and empathy for intensity. What they're really feeling is the strength of someone whose emotions run quietly but endlessly deep. Reason number 4. Your need for authenticity challenges the status quo. INFJs have little tolerance for things that feel fake or shallow. They crave truth, honesty, and emotional realness in every part of life. When they're around people who hide behind masks, exaggerate, or perform for approval, the INFJ energy naturally unsettles them. It's not because the INFJ says anything harsh, it's because their presence silently calls out the difference between real and false. Most people are used to adjusting themselves to fit in. They say what's expected, follow the group's tone, and hide what they actually think or feel. The INFJ doesn't play that game. Even when they stay quiet, their body language and energy communicate sincerity. That kind of truth breaks the unspoken rules of social interaction. It exposes the artificial layers people use for safety. When others sense that the INFJ isn't participating in pretending, they start to feel self-conscious. They may wonder, do they see through me, or do they think I'm fake? The INFJ might not be thinking any of that, but their authenticity forces people to reflect on their own. In workplaces or social groups built on appearances, the INFJ stands out without trying. They don't gossip, they don't flatter, and they don't fake enthusiasm. That quiet integrity makes others uneasy because it reminds them that their own behavior lacks substance. People may label the INFJ as serious or different, not realizing they're reacting to the discomfort of being reminded of what's missing in themselves. The INFJ's need for authenticity is not rebellion, it's alignment. They simply want their outer life to match their inner truth. But that kind of alignment exposes how out of sync many others are. When the INFJ speaks honestly, others sometimes feel accused, even when no accusation was made. That's the power of authentic energy. It reveals falseness just by existing. Being genuine in a world that rewards performance often looks intimidating. The INFJ's aura doesn't blend with pretense. It cuts through it quietly, reminding everyone nearby that truth always feels stronger than noise. Show reason number 5. Your retreat into solitude is misread as mysterious or aloof. The INFJ's need for solitude confuses people. In a world that equates constant activity with connection, their choice to step back feels strange. When they disappear for reflection or recharge, others often take it personally. They assume distance means rejection. That misunderstanding turns curiosity into fear. People rarely understand that INFJs retreat to preserve energy, not to create distance. Their mind is always active, and their emotions are layered. Solitude helps them process everything they've absorbed from others. Without that quiet space, they become overwhelmed. But because they withdraw quietly and without explanation, their silence can appear cold or mysterious. Those who don't understand this pattern often project meaning onto it. They might think, they don't like me, or they're judging me. In truth, the INFJ isn't thinking about rejection, they're thinking about peace. They pull back to stay centered, not to push people away. This misunderstanding feeds the INFJ's aura of mystery. People notice how they vanish for a while, then return calm and composed, as if they've been somewhere far away. That contrast, the stillness, the distance, the emotional steadiness makes others both intrigued and intimidated. They want to know what happens in that quiet space, but the INFJ rarely explains. In relationships, this can create tension. A partner who craves constant reassurance might see solitude as a threat. Friends might think the INFJ is drifting away. But those who truly understand them learn that solitude is part of their rhythm. It's how they remain emotionally available, not how they close off. To most people, stillness feels like absence. To an INFJ, it's renewal. But that difference is often misunderstood. The INFJ's calm detachment, their comfort in being alone, makes others uneasy because it reveals how dependent they are on noise and distraction. What looks like mystery is really self-control, and self-control can be intimidating to those who don't have it. Reason number 6. Your high standards create uncomfortable expectations. ENFJs hold themselves and others to quiet but firm standards. They believe in kindness, honesty, consistency, and emotional responsibility. These values aren't rules, they're simply how they live. But when others sense those expectations, even indirectly, they often feel judged or inadequate. The INFJ doesn't announce these standards. They live them. They show up on time, keep promises, and tell the truth. When others don't do the same, they notice. They might not say anything, but their silence communicates everything. People can feel the difference between their own inconsistency and the INFJ's steadiness, and it creates tension. In friendships and relationships, the INFJ expects emotional depth and mutual effort. They don't like one-sided connections or superficial affection. When they give completely. That kind of dedication can make others nervous because it raises the bar. They realize that to be close to an INFJ, they have to show up fully, and that's more than most people are used to doing. At work or in group settings, the same dynamic plays out. The INFJ's work ethic and focus can make others feel lazy or uncommitted by comparison. They don't brag or compete, but their quiet determination makes excuses stand out. People may react with defensiveness, saying the INFJ is too intense or expects too much, when what they really mean is, I feel pressured to be better around them. The INFJ doesn't set these standards to control anyone. They simply can't live halfway. Their conscience won't allow it. But when others feel the weight of that example, they start to project their discomfort back onto the INFJ. They'll call them intimidating, demanding, or hard to please. In truth, they're reacting to their own self-awareness. An INFJ's standards expose where others settle. They don't have to preach about it. The contrast does the work for them. That's why their aura carries both admiration and fear. It reminds people that authenticity requires effort, and effort can't be faked. The INFJ aura has a strange power, quiet, steady, and deeply felt. It doesn't demand attention, yet it changes the energy of every room it enters. That aura is made of empathy, truth, and presence. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. And for many people, that's terrifying, not because it's dark, but because it's honest. The INFJ sees what others avoid. They move through life searching for meaning, while the world hides behind distraction. Their silence speaks louder than words. Their intuition senses what's missing before it's said. And their emotional awareness makes others see themselves more clearly. That's what makes their aura so intimidating. It reflects truth without trying. But it's important to remember this. The INFJ's aura isn't meant to frighten. It only feels that way to those who aren't comfortable facing themselves. People who value authenticity will find comfort in that energy. They'll see it as grounding and trustworthy. But people who hide behind false confidence or empty talk will feel exposed in its presence. The difference lies not in what the INFJ gives off, but in what others bring to it. INFJs are often misunderstood because they don't fit the emotional rhythm of the world around them. They're still when others are loud, sincere when others perform, and deep when others skim the surface. That contrast alone can unsettle people, but it's also what makes the INFJ so rare and magnetic. Their energy reminds others that honesty is powerful, that quietness can hold more authority than noise, and that empathy is strength, not weakness. If you're an INFJ, your aura isn't a problem to fix, it's a presence to understand. You don't need to hide your depth or soften your truth to make others comfortable. The right people won't find your energy intimidating, they'll find it inspiring. What scares some will heal others. Your aura terrifies people because it reveals reality. It brings light into places that depend on shadow. And while not everyone can handle that light, those who can will see the real you, the person who listens deeply, feels honestly, and lives with purpose. So don't dim that energy. You were made to see beyond what others notice, to bring calm to chaos and truth to confusion. Your aura doesn't frighten people because it's wrong. It frightens them because it's real. And real is something the world doesn't see often enough.